Hello and welcome to this teaching video on a tune that I wrote called Campfire. Really enjoy this piece. I hope that you're enjoying it as well, and just thank you for working on it. To me, this sounds like one of those campfires that's not blazing, not the big old kind of campfire that just instantly burns your marshmallows, but the one that's a little bit smaller. Where you can toast marshmallows, and it's got dancing flames. It's got a dancing flavor to it, but maybe not the kind of dancing that most people think of. It's got earthy tones in the chords and all of that. And it's just kind of that mesmerizing type of a campfire that you may enjoy in the summers. And so that's why I called it Campfire. It really does two things. It works on something called a Nashville shuffle, which I will get to in a little bit. And for basses, it works on fourth position, and that might be brand new to you, so I'll get to that as well. First, what I want to do is I'm hoping that your director will do an E natural minor scale as a warm-up. And I need to talk to cellos because you need to do something, you need to do a little bit of shifting to get yourself up to an E, right? So here's the E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, and you've run out of fingers. By the way, E natural minor for all of us. Oh, let me back up just a little bit. Hey, listen, everybody, if you're not on the cello, don't tune out. You can still play along with us. And all of the notes that we're doing, you're working on. So, for example, violins and violas, as I go through this, you're working on playing D and E in tune on your A string. Because a lot of times what happens is when that 2 scoots down, that 3 and that 4 also scoot down and they go flat. So you're working on that, okay? Basses I'll get to you in a minute, but you've got some higher notes to think about. And so everyone's got something to do, even though I'm talking about cello at the moment. All right, so, and the other thing I wanted to say was E natural minor shares the same key signature as G major. They're relatives. We call these the relative minor or relative major. And that means that both scales use F sharp. It's kind of like your dad who's got a brother, and that brother has kids, and then those kids have the same last name that you have. So you're related. You're not exactly the same family, but you're related, right? So your cousins have the same last name. These guys share a F sharp in the key signature. And you're going to go E to E, but you got to make sure you have an F sharp. Everything else is natural. Well, like I just said, cellos, you get up to D, and you're in trouble because you run out of fingers. So you've got a few ways of doing this. One is I can go B, C, first finger, D, to E. That's one way of doing it. And by the way, you should practice all of these. And it's good for you to be able to do all of these. Some of these fingers are better than others because on this one, you know, most scales we want to end up on on most 2-octave scales, we want to end up on a 4 finger as our last finger. And here we're ending up on our 3rd finger. But that's okay. It doesn't hurt to practice. And this D is really important. It's really important because it is a wiggle string. And when I play it really in tune, you hear it ringing? I'm going to do the same thing on the bass. I'll stop the note. Did you hear it stop? So that's a wiggle string. The fancy word is sympathetic vibrations. It's very important that you can do that. And so you can practice B, C, D, and then get yourself up to E. That's one way of doing it. Another way is to go B, go to C, go to 2nd position D. Oop, I overshot at the time. There it is. And then 4th finger E. And that gets you on the E is your last finger. 2, 2. Right, that's a 2nd finger to 2nd finger shift. That's also good. Also, you know, still work on getting that D in tune and get your string to wiggle. That's another way of doing it. Probably the best way is to use an extension. Now, if you haven't done an extension yet, then just wait till you start working on these. But I'm going to mention it anyway because there's some of you that have. And that is to go first finger B, first finger C. So do the shift there, 1 to 1. Then do an extension to the D and then the E. Remember, extensions is adding a half step between 1 and 2 so that I can play 2 whole steps. Or the interval is to play a major third from my first finger to my fourth finger. B, C, second finger D, and then E. Now what's cool about this is, again, that D, but you're also working on an extension. So there's that extension. Now don't forget with extensions, here's what I need to do. When I'm on a first finger C, I need to get to a second finger D. My thumb, see my thumb has to come with my 2. Remember, thumb and 2 are buddies, right? They got to go together. I think it kind of helps just to throw your elbow maybe just a little bit forward so that I can play that extension. All right, so B, C, D, E. So that's the cello, and so again, on warm-ups, you're doing these scales, and that gets you up to that E on that E natural minor scale. By the way, in the piece, you don't do any shifting. You will do some Nashville shuffle stuff, which I'll get to in a moment, but no shifting. But for your warm-ups, you do need to know about that, okay? All right, let's move on to the bass. Okay, bass. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of things that might be a little bit different for you. I don't know. But I'm going to start with this E natural minor scale because, again, hopefully your director is doing these for warm-up. So this is going E to E, making sure I play F sharp. Here's E, F sharp, G, A, B, and again, wow, I've run out of fingers. So what do? Well, you need to be able to play C, D, and E. Now, you've probably learned second position when B, C, but you need to get up to an E. You've probably learned third position, which gets you up to D. You've done a D major scale, but you still need to get up to E. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on fourth position, which is to put my first finger on a D. Now, just like the cello, just like violins and violas too, that D is a wiggle string, and man, do you hear that? That's my goal. Now, yes, of course, you can use a sticker, but I'd rather you use your ear. Make sure your bass is in tune. There's an E. That's a great sound, and that gets you up to an E. Now, by the way, the E is also a wiggle string because you got a low E string. You might not hear it as strong as the D, but it's still there. So that's my goal. I got to get up to D and E. Trick that an old bass teacher told me, which was really cool. When I'm playing scales, the 2-octave variety where I'm down here, if my last note is on a ledger line, like this E is on the second ledger line. If my last note's on the ledger line, then shift on the B and it'll work out. So in this case, that is obviously true. So you got A. What we're going to do is we're going to go second finger B, C. You've probably learned second position. And then we're going to jump up and learn that D and that E for the scale, all right? Now, another thing I wanted to mention about this D, this is not true of all basses, but it's true on this one, that my thumb in the neck and first finger across is going to be D. So I learned what that feels like that's going to be. Not all basses are made the same. You're going to have to mess around with your bass and to see if that's true or not. Okay, but in this bass it is true, and that's just kind of a nice thing for my thumb. All right, so you work on that and make sure whatever finger is right across from the second finger, the thumb, that makes it a D. In my case, it's a 1. Okay, so here's the scale starting on A. All right, I want to go to second finger B, fourth finger C, and then the D, and then the E. All right, so do the whole thing. Here we go. E, F sharp, G, A, shift to B, C, D, and then E. Of course, it's true coming down to E, D, C, B, A, fortissimo. That's the idea, okay? So that's the scale. I'm going to talk about fourth position later in the actual piece. But for right now, that's the scale, and that's your goal, is to get up to fourth position. All right, I'm going to move on to the viola next. Okay, so now for the E natural minor scale, but we're going to use something called a Nashville shuffle. And what it is, it's you hear this in fiddle tunes all the time. It's that down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay? And you will use an uneven number of bow strokes in the beat. So there's 3, down, up, down. That makes your next bow on the beat going to be up, down, up. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And it's just called a shuffle. The specific one is a Nashville shuffle. And I use this in Campfire all the time. I have an extra little thing on the end that I like to add, but I'll get to that in just a moment. So let's do E natural minor scale. By the way, I use takadimi when I count, so it's ta, di, mi, ta, di, mi. Do that with me, shadow bow. Ta, di, mi, ta, di, mi, ta, di, mi, ta, di, mi. That would be one measure, okay? There's my E. Here we go. Ready, and go, and. Ta, di, mi, ta, di, mi. And you know, in practice, you want to go back down. People like to ask me, do I use an open A or a 4-finger A? And the answer is whatever one you want to. It is a fiddle tune. So fiddle tunes tend to use a lot of open strings, and that's kind of fine. It's like a fiddle tune. It's a quasi-fiddle tune. That's a great way of putting it. So that is takadimi. Practice that a bunch, and you're going to get that going in your bow. And also get a little bit faster. That's about the tempo of the piece, okay, to work on that. Now, I put something on it called a doohickey. It's not really called a doohickey. It's 2/8 notes on beat 4, and I go double up on them. So shadow bow with me. Ready, and go, and. Ta, di, mi, ta, di, mi, ta, di, mi, up, up, or ta, di. I do that on beat 4. Let's do that on an E. Ready, and go, and ta. Up, up. And then you can do the next note. Up, up. Then you want to go back down to in your practice. But that is the rhythm that I use quite a bit in this particular tune. And by the way, violins, second violins and violas, you start the whole song with the melody, and you've got this takadimi and the double up. So this is measures 1 through 4 for you. Up, up. So do that with me. So now that you've heard it, do that with me. 2, here we go, and. I should have mentioned this. Notice I put the music up there, and I've got cello bass playing as well. First violin, you might as well play as well. It's kind of fun to learn other people's parts. And so it's all up there, even though in my actual music, that's just first and second violins. All right, so that's how it starts. It's got a Nashville shuffle. It's got the doohickey, the up on beat 4. And moving on to the next one. Okay, so here's the music for first violins. This is measures 9 through 12. You do an Asheville shuffle, but you move on the different notes on the and of the beat, and you've got a little scale pattern in there. So what I mean by the and of the beat, that didn't do any movement. That's at the very beginning. But for you guys, at measure 9, you go. So on the and of each of those beats, you change notes, except for beat 4, of course. All right, let's do that. Ready, and go, and. Do it again. Ready, and go, and. Now the next measure, this would be measure 10. You do something similar. Okay, so something similar. But look here, look what you got. That drives to beat 1 on the next one. What is that? Oh, well, first of all, there's a C sharp in there. So C sharps are not in the key, so that is called an accidental. I know you know this. But if you really look at it, this is a D major scale that goes to the E. Starts on a B. This is a D major scale. But it lands on the E. So it's kind of fun to play music that changes a little bit of the key signature by playing some different notes. And so you got that in your ear, but it still drives to the E. Let's do that again. This is beats 3 and 4 of measure 10. Taka, D, mi, and ah. Do it again. Ready, and. Good. Now measure 11 is just exactly like measure 9. Measure 12 is different. It has a B on the G string. So it starts on the E, goes to a B, and then here, right, it has scale patterns again with a little bit of a skip there. Skip. All right, that's not too bad. All right, let's do the whole thing. Measures 9 through 12. Ready? And go. And. All right, now you should practice it about, let's see. Something like that. That should be about the tempo, okay? And then something that I did not put into the music that's kind of fun to do, and this happens all the time, where you're like, oh, I want to shape this a little bit. How do we shape things? Well, in this case, we're going to shape it with a dynamic. This is measure 10. Listen to this. Here I get louder when I got up, and then I hit the D, and then as the notes went down, I got a little bit softer. Don't have to do that. If you don't like it, don't do it. But it's just kind of fun in my ear to hear that little dynamic change. And it's not something that I felt like I needed to put in the music, but if you want to do it, that's really cool. All right, let's go to measure 13 through 16. This is first violins and cellos. Cellos, you get involved in this, some of this same kind of stuff. But I do have a thing I need to fix. Measure 13 should be all A's, first violins. Okay, all A's. Your teacher's score, the music that your teacher looks at, is correct. For some reason, a little B got written in there, and there's no B. It's just open A's. This is exactly the same as measure 54, if you want to check it out. I just repeated it in just open A's. Okay, so that's not too bad, but look at the scale. There's no G. I just went F sharp to E, and then to the A. So there's a skip. That's on beat 4. Check that out. Be careful that you do the skip. All right. Sometimes it helps some students to circle the A to the F sharp, to think of themselves of that skip, and then for some reason that E to that A, it's a little bit easier to do. But sometimes we get it in our head, oh, that's just a scale, when actually it skips a note. It's not exactly a scale. All right. And then repeats itself, and and then has a D major scale, a full scale at the end. This would be measure 16, scale. But then it goes to E, E after that, okay? Actually, it goes to a double stop for first violins. I'll get to that in just a moment. All right, all of this is measure 13 through 16. Ready? And go, and. Cool, huh? Let's do it again. Ready? And go, and. That's 13 through 16. Now, first fills, everybody gets to look at this music, but this is called double stops. It's only in the first violin part, and is a little bit tricky for other instruments. If you want to play along, go ahead, or just pick one of the notes, go ahead. But first violins, E and a B, so that gives it sort of that like earthy sounds, right? And then the D. The only one that I think is tricky is this one, because you are playing a B and an F sharp. All right. And you have to do it in such a way that you don't, with that second finger, you're not touching the A string and getting some weird sounds. So here's how I like to think about it. I'm going to play F sharp on the D string, but I am playing on the G string side of the D string. On the G side of the D string. Let me put it that way. On the G side of the D. I always have to think when I say that so I don't say that incorrectly. Right? You can land square on top of the string, or you can be towards the A string or towards the G string. And in this case, I want to be towards the G string, and that's going to help me play that so that I don't mess up the A string on the B. Does that make sense? Mess around with that. See if that works for you. Also, it's a perfect, these are called perfect sounds, which is really, really nice kind of like earthy tones. Okay. One other thing, on these short notes, what I want you to do is I want you to play them for about a third of your bow, and then lift your bow and get back to the frog so that I can do the dotted half note. This is really important. 2, 3, 4. In other words, I don't want you to do this. 2, 3. Because now you don't have enough bow for the dotted half note. Plus, I don't like that sound. That's not really what it is. It's more of a ringing. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. Now there you can play a really fast kind of a sound. That's called a martelé bow, and I want a really fast attack. It's got that rooftop accent, the very last one, and boom, really pop it. That one can be really loud and obnoxious, but not all the other ones. Okay, let's try that. These are the double stops, measures 17 through 20. 2, 3, 4, and. Okay, basses. This is the fourth position thing I was talking about. So I want to talk about fourth position. I'm looking at measures 9 through 16. So if you look at that with me. So you get up to this E. I'll talk about how to get up there in just a moment. But remember, thumb, well, in my bass, thumb in the neck, first finger's got D. That's the most important. Find a first finger D, find the wiggle string, and then the E. There's my E, there's my D. All right? And I've already talked about that, so that would sound like this. Start with me, measure 9, 2, and again, violins, violas, and cellos, you all have something to do. So play along with us. Like cellos, you could work on that second position stuff. You could work on the extension if you wanted to, but that second position stuff and a little bit of shifting. And violins and violas, you're working on being in tune. Your third and your fourth finger with low C's, second finger C's, so that you're not out of tune. 2, measure 9. Ready, go. Those are E's, D. Now that B, you've learned B down here. And I can imagine that you want to come down and play that B. But again, this is a teaching piece. Guess what? You can play B on the D string. It's just string cross. It's actually a lot easier than shifting out and shifting back. Because look, you got to get back to an E pretty fast. I want you to go to the D string. Learn B on the D string. And then there's my D again. And then E. Just stay in position. So here are the notes. E, D, fourth finger B, first finger A. We're going to get to that in just a moment. That would be 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, there's the A's and the B's. And again, first finger A, you see that in your music. You're going to want to go to a first finger because that's how you learned it. Here's a cool thing. Think about this. You have learned lots of ways to play the same note. You're doing this long before all of the other instruments, right? So you've learned first finger A here, but now you're learning first finger A on the D string as well. So we have multiple ways of playing the very same note, and we do it for various reasons. In this case, just because we want to stay in fourth position. There's A, and then B, like I was talking about earlier, okay? A, B, D, and E. And you just stay there, A, B, D, and E. There's only 4 notes in this whole thing. All right, so let's do the whole thing. 1, 2, here we go, and. Doesn't have an accent just because I want to. Fourth position. That's really cool. Fourth position. All right, let's do it again. 2, here we go. E's, D, B, D, E. Now we need to talk about how to get up there. So right before measure 9, you have an E down here, right, on the D string. That definitely is on the D string. And I got to get up to, go and find the fourth finger E up there. So just practice that a bunch. What's nice is this is called an octave. E, E. Go find it, right? Sing it. Go find it. There are also wiggle strings, right? That's what you're doing, right? And the rest of you can certainly find first finger E's and then fourth finger E's on the different string as well. Might as well all practice this. Let's learn how to go get it. E. Go find it. One more time. E. Go find it. There it is. All right. So there's the shift. You're going from that E to that E. Again, on my bass, I can find thumb. That's a nice little anchor. First finger D, and then go catch my E. All right. This next section is for basses as well. But cellos, you're actually playing some of the same notes. You just got some noodling. You got the Nashville Shuffle. Sorry, I should tell you. This is measure 32 through 41. So cellos, you get to do 32 through 34. You get to do a Nashville Shuffle, where basses are not doing that. But basses are, again, doing all kinds of shifting and really cool things. So this starts on an up bow. By the way, this this is the melody, everybody, all right? Now check this out, basses. This is measure 33. That's A to B, A, B, shift. Because you got to get up to a C. And I want to stay there for the G. I'm out of tune a little bit. There's my G, shift to an E, B. I'm going to do that again. So I got myself up to C, B, G, fourth finger, shift to an E, B. Right? Now, can you go C, open G, E, B? Sure, you can do that. Nothing wrong with that at all. But I like doing the shift, and I like practicing this, again, same notes, but on different strings. The G, G. It's good to practice that second position on the D string. All right? So you do that a couple of times. But look at the, let's see, this would be measure 40 and 41, right? So you've got there's the second position. There we go, C, B, C, there's my D, and then right back up to that E in fourth position. Let's do that again. So I'm in second position, C, B, C, here's my D, here's my E, get myself up to E. All right, that whole passage, 32 through 41. 1, 2, here we go, and... Go. Good, you got some melody, some really fun sounds in there. One more time. I just feel like doing it one more time. It was a little bit out of tune, and my sound wasn't super great on every single note. So we'll just do this once more. Here we go. 1, 2, here we go, and... That is Campfire. If I have not talked about something that you really feel like, man, I wish he would have talked about that, write me, right? So my email is in the description there. So write me. I'm happy to make a video just for you. I will do that, okay? And again, I appreciate that you're working on this, and I hope that you're having a good time with it. So, all right, I will see you in another video.